Welcome to another explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the actual science behind clarifying your protective hairstyles. We're going to go straight under the microscope to decode scalp health, look at those complex chemical interactions, and figure out what is really happening to that delicate skin on your head during a traditional detox.
So, let's just kick things off with a pretty crucial question. What exactly is happening on a microscopic level when you subject your scalp to the harsh friction of everyday kitchen chemistry? We are going to compare those traditional DIY methods with strictly scientifically formulated approaches to see what actually works, and, more importantly, why.
To do that, we'll hit 5 key areas today. First, the scalp detox dilemma. Second, the mechanics of cleansing. Third, protecting the scalp barrier. Fourth, managing moisture and microbes. And finally, optimizing the reset routine.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the scalp detox dilemma. Or as most of us know it, the messy reality of wash day.
You know the drill. The traditional DIY detox is just notoriously messy and frankly exhausting. It requires filling up a massive sink or basin and awkwardly leaning over it until your neck aches. But when you compare that to a modern, specifically formulated approach like ToxiTress, it fundamentally changes the whole physical environment of wash day. You're completely eliminating the basin, skipping the next drain, and there is absolutely no dunking involved.
Moving on to part 2, the mechanics of cleansing. We are talking about targeting the root.
Think about how inefficient the traditional DIY method actually is. It forces you to treat your entire head of hair. Submerging those heavy, waterlogged styles for 10 to 20 minutes literally means you're continuously squeezing dirty, murky water right back through the entire length of your hair instead of just focusing on the scalp where all that buildup actually starts.
But notice how a targeted system flips these mechanics completely upside down. By using a mineral cleanse clay mask, you're targeting the scalp and the roots directly. That is where the buildup sits, right? There's zero need to soak the heavy lengths of the hair. You literally just mix the powder, apply it right to your scalp for about 10 to 15 minutes, and rinse it out. It's highly targeted and, scientifically speaking, just mechanically superior.
That brings us to part 3, protecting the scalp barrier. It's the classic battle of hydration versus dryness.
Now here is a genuinely shocking metric. 1 to 3. That's it. That is the maximum number of times per year you can safely do a raw DIY soak before you start severely damaging your scalp. Things like raw baking soda and apple cider vinegar are so highly alkaline and acidic in their raw, unformulated states that using them frequently literally strips away your skin's delicate protective barrier.
And this perfectly captures the scientific trade-off we're making. The DIY method inherently prioritizes an intense, harsh cleanse, but it comes at the steep cost of severe dryness and barrier cracking. On the flip side, a gentle, scientifically formulated system is engineered to lift those impurities while keeping your hydrated balance completely intact. It actually preserves your skin's natural defenses.
So how exactly is this hydrated balance achieved? Well, it comes down to specific formulations, like a mineral detox complex. By blending bentonite, kaolin, and activated charcoal together, the system uses natural negative charges to magnetically draw out impurities. It's like a magnet for dirt, completely avoiding the need for harsh raw acids. Plus, when it's backed by a nourishing oil elixir, the actual cleansing process ends up protecting your skin.
Because this formulated approach is actively protecting that scalp barrier, you don't have to limit yourself to just a couple of times a year. It's gentle enough that you can use it safely before every single install. For most people, that's every 3 to 4 weeks, or really just whenever your scalp is begging for a reset.
Let's move into part 4, managing moisture and microbes, or the very real dangers of dampness.
Submerging dreadlocks or heavily braided hair is essentially like soaking a giant sponge. It completely waterlogs the style. And here's the gross part. If you don't dry that hair 100% perfectly, you trap the moisture inside. Biologically speaking, that trapped moisture turns into a rapid breeding ground for mildew and bacteria, which is exactly what causes those damp, sour odors. Targeted, lightweight applications are absolutely crucial because they fundamentally prevent this waterlogging from happening in the first place.
But what if you still want the clarifying pH balancing magic of apple cider vinegar without all that liquid mess? The answer lies in botanical infusions. Imagine a dry apple cider vinegar powder, beautifully blended with green tea and chamomile. It chemically calms the scalp and restores your natural acidity, but it does it without introducing heavy, soaking liquids into your protective styles.
To take odor prevention a step further, finishing with a premium scent mist is a real game changer. And we aren't just talking about spraying basic perfume over dirty hair. Formulas that utilize specific notes like orange, lavender, vanilla, and sandalwood create what's known as a clean scent architecture. They actively neutralize and mask those trapped odors, meaning your hair ends up smelling incredibly expensive rather than sour.
Finally, let's wrap up with Part 5, optimizing the reset routine. It is time to move beyond kitchen chemistry.
Seriously, think about the inherent unreliability of mixing up kitchen chemistry. When you're measuring out raw baking soda and vinegar in your bathroom, you're essentially just guessing the ratios and really hoping you don't burn your skin. And getting it wrong? Well, that leads to chemical burns, severe scalp irritation, or leaving a gritty residue all over your scalp. All-in-one systems just entirely eliminate this issue. They give you perfectly portioned, lab-tested formulas with literally zero guesswork.
These professional-grade prep kits come beautifully packaged with absolutely everything you need to execute a totally safe detox. Because they include perfectly portioned formulas, step-by-step instruction cards, and reusable tools, you can just entirely avoid the gritty residue, the intense dryness, and the wild unpredictability of mixing stuff up in your kitchen.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to chew on before your next wash day. We've just walked through the intense friction, the hidden microscopic risks, and the serious barrier damage caused by unformulated detoxes. So you have to ask yourself, are you going to keep treating your scalp with risky kitchen chemistry, or are you finally going to give it the actual science it deserves? Keep that in mind the next time you're prepping your protective styles. Thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive into the science of scalp health.